Dust hung over the main street of Silver Gulch like smoke from an old fire. Every step the rancher took sent up a small storm of grit, coating his boots and his conscience alike. He'd just left the auction yard where men bought horses, wagons, and sometimes people. When they brought the woman out in chains, the crowd laughed the way hungry men laugh at a meal they didn't earn. She stood straight anyway, eyes dark with fury, her hands bound but her spirit unbent. Sam Carter had gone there to buy a mule. He rode home with her instead. She didn't speak the whole ride back. The desert stretched wide, yellow and endless, the sun hammering the earth. Once, when the horse stumbled, she looked at him, just once, and he felt judged by something larger than law. By the time they reached his ranch, the wind had turned cold. He untied her wrists, gave her water, and said, "You can rest here tonight. Tomorrow, I'll find a way to send you north." She stared at him like he'd spoken nonsense. "You paid for me," she said quietly. "You think they'll just let me walk away?" He didn't answer. He'd heard the men in town say she was part Apache, captured after a raid that never even happened. Lies turned into commerce quicker than cattle fattened in spring. He hated himself for standing there, hat in hand, while the auctioneer shouted numbers. Hated that he'd joined the same crowd that ruined her life, even if his reason had been to get her out. That night, rain rolled in from the mountains. The roof leaked, the old stove hissed. She sat by the window, silent. He brought her a blanket, rough wool smelling of smoke. When he turned to go, her voice broke the quiet. "You've paid for me," she said, her tone steady now, almost challenging. "Just do it." He stopped cold. The words cut through him like a whip. He turned slowly, seeing the way her hands shook, not with fear, but defiance. "Do what?" he asked. "Decide," she said, "if I'm still theirs, or if I'm free." The wind groaned through the cracks. For a long moment he couldn't breathe. In town, men would have taken those words another way. Out here, they meant something holy, a plea to be seen as human. He crossed the room and placed the folded bill of sale on the table between them. Then he took a match, struck it, and watched the paper burn. Her eyes followed the flame, wide and wet. When it was ash, he said, "You're not theirs. And you're not mine." The rain eased to a whisper. She stood, walking closer, studying him as though trying to believe the impossible. "Then why?" she asked. "Because I was once a man bought cheap myself," he said. "A soldier who sold his soul for pay. I can't undo that, but I can start here." Outside, the land smelled of dust and thunder. She opened the door and let the cool air rush in. For the first time since he'd met her, she smiled, small, weary, but real. "Tomorrow," she said, "I'll ride north." He nodded. "I'll ride with you till the river." They didn't speak again that night. The storm passed, and a clean light rose over the plains. He watched it spill across her face and thought how strange redemption could look, less like glory, more like two tired souls sharing silence. When the sun finally broke full over the ridge, the rancher felt something he hadn't in years: peace. What he'd done wouldn't erase the past, but maybe it could change its ending. Behind him, the last ember of the burned paper glowed once and died. Ahead, the world waited, bright, wide, unclaimed. Morning light spread like gold dust over the valley. The woman, her name was finally spoken as Naya, stood beside the corral, brushing the mare she'd borrowed. Each stroke of her hand looked like an act of quiet revenge against everything that had been taken from her. Sam Carter saddled his own horse a few feet away, pretending not to notice the way the sun caught her hair. She was free now, but he didn't yet trust himself to look at her like that. The road north wound through badland country, dry riverbeds, cliffs shaped like ghosts. They rode without words for hours, the silence thick with things neither dared to say. At noon they stopped by a spring. Naya crouched, cupping water to her lips, then said softly, "They'll come after you. Men don't like when someone ruins a sale." "I'm not afraid of them," he said. "You should be. They'll burn your house down for less." He shrugged. Then maybe it needed burning. She looked at him sharply, searching for the man beneath that plain voice. "You talk like someone who's already lost everything." "Maybe that's the only kind of man who can do what I did," he answered. They camped by the ridge that night. Coyotes howled somewhere beyond the hills. The fire between them flickered, throwing orange across her face. Sam pulled his coat tighter, watching the stars blink awake. "Why'd you say yes?" he asked finally. "When I said you could go free, you could have run the other way." Naya poked the fire with a stick. "Because I've run enough," she said. "Sometimes freedom's not in the running. It's in facing what hunts you. Her words struck deeper than she knew. He had spent years running, from war, from graves, from guilt. He'd thought redemption meant isolation. But sitting across from her, he realized maybe it meant something else entirely. Just before dawn, they heard hoofbeats. Men's voices. Sam's body stiffened. Naya's hand went to the knife she'd hidden in her boot. They found us, she whispered. In the distance, 5 riders crested the ridge, faces familiar from the auction yard. The leader, a heavy man named Blake, shouted, "You stole property, Carter. You think we'll let that pass?" Sam rose slowly, gun drawn. "She's no one's property," Blake spat. "You paid good money for her. She's ours or yours, same damn thing." Before Sam could answer, Naya stepped forward. Her voice cut like a blade. "You can't sell what has a name." She stood tall, the wind whipping her hair, and for a heartbeat even Blake hesitated. Then chaos. A gunshot cracked, horses screamed. Sam fired back, catching a shadow in the leg. Naya dropped behind a boulder, steady hands loading his spare rifle. They fought not like captor and captive, but like 2 souls welded by fire. When the dust cleared, only the wind spoke again. Blake and his men retreated, swearing vengeance. Afterward, Sam sat trembling. His hand bled where a bullet had grazed him. Naya tore a strip from her skirt and wrapped the wound. "You shouldn't have followed me," she said softly. "I didn't follow you," he murmured. "I stayed beside you." Her hands paused. She looked into his eyes, and for the first time since the auction, neither turned away. They rode north for 2 more days, sleeping little, eating less. At the edge of the Snake River, where pine trees began to replace desert, Naya stopped. "This is far enough," she said. "Across that river, they'll never find me." Sam stared at the water's rush, the border between safety and solitude. "You could start again," he said. She smiled faintly. "I already have." Before she mounted, she reached for his hand. Her fingers lingered. "You burned that paper," she said. "But you also burned the only proof you ever owned anything in this world." "Why?" "Because I'd rather have nothing and sleep knowing I did right," he said. "Owning a person ain't worth owning myself." For a moment, neither spoke. The river roared below, a hymn of beginnings. Then Naya leaned in and pressed her forehead to his. "Then, maybe you're the first man I've met who understands what freedom costs." He watched her cross the river, her figure shrinking against the sunrise. When she reached the far bank, she turned and raised her hand once. Then she was gone into the trees. Sam sat for a long time, the wind whispering around him, until he realized his cheeks were wet, not with pain, but with something long forgotten. By the time he rode back south, the land felt changed. His house might be gone, his name might be cursed, but he'd kept something purer than pride, his word. And somewhere beyond those hills, a woman named Naya was alive, unowned, and unbroken. He smiled to himself, spurred his horse, and whispered into the empty dawn. "Maybe that's enough."